Probably one of the most worst experiences in my entire life was the first 18 months in business and moving. I wanted to light my company on fire every freaking day and burn it to the ground. It was absolutely miserable.
This is the Snowball Effect.
Hey, this is Todd, and welcome to the Snowball Effect. I've got a really special guest today. I'm super excited. He's kind of a legend in the moving industry. I've got Eric Wirks on the podcast. How you doing, Eric?
Good, Todd. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Eric is the founder of Wirks Moving and Storage, but he's also the CEO of USA Home Listings. Seems like you've been in the moving industry for a couple of decades. Am I about right there?
Yeah, I think it's exactly a little over 20 years.
I'd love to hear, Eric, just the stupidest thing you've done as a business owner.
Maybe not stupid, maybe more ignorant, because, most of us don't know what we don't know until we do. Maybe a combination of both. Probably one of the biggest mistakes I made, or I would say was really foolish. Combination of being naive and also just should have known better. For the first $3 million in revenue, until we were about a $3 million moving company, I had absolutely no utilization of any technology.
Really? You're doing everything manually?
Everything's manual, everything's paper, even all the accounting and financials are on Excel spreadsheets. No, I don't know if they had QuickBooks Online then, but no, even at the most basic level, financial software or tools, nothing.
That's actually really impressive that you could grow a company to 3 million doing all of that manually. That says a lot about your just sheer grit and hustle.
Probably just a hair under, close enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So what finally pushed you over to where you're like, okay, I've got to start getting some tools and get some help doing this?
Combination of a few things. One of the reasons why that didn't happen is that some people know and some people don't. I had a business partner in the moving company until 2019, 2020. I retired them in 2019, and then I bought them out in 2020. But a combination of that failure to adapt and implement things that just give you a competitive advantage or create efficiencies, all the above, was my partner was 23 years older than me.
Oh, wow. And
they were not very susceptible to change, regardless of whether it was efficient or not. That's the way they like to do it. And I just, I needed them to play the role they played, and I did the role I played. And so it was a combination of all those things. But I would say knowing what I know now and the journey I've been down, that substantially handicapped us, because when we really started to utilize software and tech at the most basic level and just kept expanding from there, we just poured gasoline ourselves. And I also knew too, one of the reasons I bought my partner was I knew that if I'm gonna make this something great, I need to have no obstacles, and I've never had a bad partnership. A lot of people can't say that from the feedback I've gotten. But you also a mistake that a lot of people make is that they bring on a partner because, it's their buddy or it's their friend or it's their relative or whatever, and they don't really see hey, does their strengths complement your weaknesses and vice versa? Are you guys aligned on the same vision, the same trajectory of where you want to take this thing? And then these are, and I only did a fraction of these. So the things I'm saying right now are things that I also did not do. We were definitely aligned on the complementary of the skill sets. Their weaknesses at the time, their weaknesses were my strengths, and my strengths were their weaknesses, and some combination of that. Where we were not aligned was on the vision of where we wanted to take this thing. And the other mistake we made is that there's nothing more important in a partnership is an ironclad, detailed out, structured operating agreement. That is, if you're gonna have a partner, that is the most important thing that just covers, long story short, every scenario possible.
So an operating agreement that says, okay, if we both go our different ways, or if something, were to happen to one of us, this is what happens. What types of things do you lay out in an operating agreement like that to just keep it crystal clear?
Yeah, a real solid structure on like who has final say and what. Like you can add things, you can structure things in an operating agreement. Like even if like you're not the majority shareholder, you have final say and control over X. Buy sell situations. Like for example, like I like to call things like this. I like to call all these types of documents that go beyond the operating agreement. Like I call it keeping honest people honest documentation. Like the idea is we want to put this in a drawer and not have to reference it again. But like things like that, like you said, death in the family. Like for example, like if my business partner died, I don't want to be in business with their spouse. Like things like that. Buy sell agreements, shotgun clauses. Like for example, like you want out or your partner want out. There's not some like excessive delusional valuation of the company. Like it could be something like, hey, we bring in this third party assessor who's going to do this type of valuation, and like this is going to be the agreed upon, like things along that. We could go on and on and on, but like things along that nature.
I ran an agency for 10 years and had a business partner, and can 100% underscore what you're saying as far as just the clarity of roles, the clarity of who gets final say in what arenas. I think I love how you said that. It just keeps honest people honest, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have a partner in USA Listings who actually just officially, I don't know who all knows, but officially announced his retirement. So yeah, he's as of pretty much now, he's no longer has any involvement in that company. He's still an owner, but there's a big difference between like wearing a board seat hat, having ownership, and then being an actual employee within the company. Like I have a board seat hat only and works with the storage. Like I'm 100% hands off. I have a CEO that runs that, so I don't take any salary. I don't really put my 2 cents in beyond like a board level.
And now you're taking all your energy and focusing on USA Home Listings. And
yeah, I probably spend about 99% of my time in that company only. I don't spend hardly any time at all beyond like if whatever capacity, which usually isn't much, that Allison might need. It's usually just to bounce things off me, but her instincts are pretty solid.
Well, that's some pretty practical advice, and I want to ask you a lot more about USA Home Listings here in a second. But before I do, the last question to just get to know you here a little bit, Eric. I want to hear something that you're really passionate about, something that just gets that light in your eyes and just gets you excited. And I want you to pitch me on it and why I should be as passionate about this thing as you are.
That's a great question. Big picture, I would say fitness, being in shape. I measure success, and I actually kind of stole this from somebody that I never articulated it the way he does. And I don't even know if it's original by him, but he measures his success. He calls it the 4 F's: faith, family, finance, and fitness.
Faith, family, finance, and fitness.
Yeah. So I measure success, and I agree with that. The funny thing is, I've always measured my success that way, but like I never heard it like coined that way.
Right. I love that.
I 100% agree with that, and so big picture is like being the best version of myself. So my journey and everything I do every day is I want to be the best version of myself, and I want to show up and excel in those areas, and in that particular order. The fitness thing kind of just pours gasoline on everything else.
So I want to double click on that because everyone can see your guns there, but I want to hear your fitness routine. Tell me a normal week. This is where the rubber meets the road. What's your routine look like?
Yeah, I work out very intensely, 5-6 days a week. I do CrossFit.
Nice.
But I've done all kinds of stuff. I've done traditional global gym bodybuilding stuff. I did powerlifting for a very, very long time. That's a lot of my strength base comes from powerlifting. But I do CrossFit. Like I like to do it competitively too. It just kind of scratches that itch, that competitive mindset I have. It's kind of like most entrepreneurs are usually competitive in nature, at least the ones that do well. There's always outliers to every bell curve. And I just, it's important to do really, really hard things. Like I do really, really, like what I do fitness wise is very freaking hard.
I've tried. I've tried CrossFit for a couple of months and it kicked my butt. Yeah, CrossFit is no
Yeah, well,
joke, but it sounds like you're doing all kinds of other things as well.
yeah, well, it kicks my butt every day. Like it's as hard as you make it. You can make it easy, you can make it really hard.
Are you a morning workout guy or in the evening?
Yeah, because I literally was at the gym at 7 a.m. this morning doing it.
So if there's a business owner out there, they're up to their eyeballs wearing 10 hats and they know that they're not taking their fitness seriously. Where do they start? You know that they're busy. You've been in their shoes. Where do they start? What's an approachable on-ramp to get into fitness and start
I would say,
taking it seriously?
yeah, I would say it really starts a mindset. A lot of people like to go to the extreme on things, whether it be work or like financial or anything. They want to go or diet. They want to go to the extreme rather than trying to build small healthy habits. Because what you're trying to do is you're not trying to go through some fad. You're trying to build something that's like sustainable and long term. So healthy habits, and I found for me it's better to build a bunch of small micro habits and it compounds. So like for example, like first of all, you got to be honest with yourself. Is it like you can't do it, or you won't do it? You just make a bunch of excuses. Like who doesn't have someplace that everyone can start? Like just go walk for 45 minutes a day. You can't do that. That is probably one of the most impactful foundational things you could do to start your fitness journey is to go walk 45 minutes a day, 45 minutes plus. You'll that alone will like really help you lose weight and lose body fat and stuff like that.
I love that. I love that. In fact, I love fitness as well. I'm not into it as much as you, to your level, and I don't have the bulk to show it, but I have a passion for it. And I love that. The start off with walking. I was just reading in The Joy of Movement, and the lady there gives. I think you'll appreciate this, Eric. She gives a specific number of steps that if you get below this on average, you now are facing headwinds for your mental health. And it's 5,649 steps. If you're below that, your mental health is going down. If you're anything above that, and you've now got the wind at your back. And she talks about just getting out there, and just getting your steps in. What a great place to start. I love that suggestion.
I've been on both sides of the coin. I've been like working out pretty consistently for probably about 17, 18 years. But I've gone through moments where like there's not much going on, whether I had a severe injury, because it comes to the territory. I had a severe injury or whatever happened. No, it definitely, like I said, it pours gasoline at everything.
Love it.
I operate across the board so much better when I'm in shape, or I start my day that way. Mental clarity, all the above. I don't, and I'm not here to like get into a debate about mental health. I don't relate to like what depression is. I don't. Now, if I had like moments in my life where I've gone through, like, I call it self-pity. Yeah.
We've all been there, right?
Yeah. But like, there's a lot of things I'm not doing. Like when I go through those moments, one, like I'm thinking about myself all the time, not like how can I bring value and help others. It's kind of hard to think about others and yourself at the same time. And two, like how am I taking care of myself internally? I'm not here to get like religious debate or anything like that. Like, so faith is pretty important to me and how I believe in it, or just spirituality, whatever you want to call it. But like that's my foundation. And I found that like when I straighten out or I'm healthy spiritually, the mental and physical kind of follow that.
There's a lot of lessons you've learned, and it's now planted you there at USA Home Listings. And it now feels like you're on the opposite end of the technology spectrum. That now, you're rolling out some really cool, AI tools and things. But give me just a thumbnail sketch of USA Home Listings.
Yeah, so USA Home Listings is like it's kind of like a hybrid. It's kind of people define it as a SaaS company. I don't think it's as sad as like I know the where we're going to take it, but it's kind of a combination of like a company that provides data that's adjacent to the real estate market in combination with like with SaaS tools and products to really utilize that and capitalize on that data for marketing purposes for basically home service-based businesses, more predominantly for people who want pre-mover data. And that's people who are going to be moving. You know, and you got. I mean, our biggest sector is obviously moving companies, and but it's also like junk removal companies. Anybody that could capitalize on acquiring a client that's going to be moving.
So where does Vacancy AI come in? You know, tell me a little bit about the problem that it solves.
Yeah, for the longest time, like you can imagine, so Vacancy AI is basically just a way to detect if a home's furnished or not. Okay, because like logically, if you're going to be marketing to pre-movers or people who are going to be moving, based on like how the sales process of the home changes, like so we identify like in real time if a home in most markets is going to be coming soon, like it's not quite listed yet, but it's going to be coming soon, or if it's newly listed on the market, or if it's pending under contract, so it follows those sales stages in real time. So the idea is to be able to market with that information and get in front of them people before they even really think about hiring a service provider that they're going to need during that process, whether it's junk removal or moving, etc., moving and storage, etc. So, and that's kind of like what we do through like direct mail, social, digital outreach, email outreach, and then we have all kinds of different 7 or 8 different types of mailing material you can mail people. We just I think I saw an announcement at MCOU. We just launched a brochure mailing campaign to target and build relationships with realtors, and build a separate platform in the back end to manage all that, so you can set up and be automated. And then, but like, get back to answer your question, is that one of the problems is that like, especially in this environment, is there's every major market at some level has a vacancy, has an empty home issue. These are investment properties, second homes, etc., Airbnbs, etc. And or for example, you'll see this in like some bigger homes sometimes. It depends, where the customer they're carrying 2 mortgages potentially, or they're carrying 2 properties. Like they want to sell their current property, but they've already moved into their new property. And long story short, the home just it's empty. And you don't want to, like, why do you want to market to an empty home? They're not going to move. They're not going to have any junk to haul away. At the same time, if you're doing any type of outreach in general, like why would you want to mail to them? Why would you want to email them? Why would you want to call them? Why would you want to text them? Because we also provide the emails and phone numbers for these people as well. You know, at different tier level packages of the data that we sell.
So they're burning through marketing budget, chasing people that don't even a home that's empty.
Yeah. So what people were doing for years was they would have someone internally in their team like look up these addresses online and see if the homes are empty. People would go as far as, and we did this at Works Mood at one time. Like we actually had a VA, virtual assistant overseas, who would process this list every single day. And that's fine if you're going to like manually mail in the systems, because like we in our system you can like set up automated mailing, because we try to make it as turnkey as possible. Like set it and forget it. But it's not going to combat the empty home side. So if people would use VAs, use internal people, their team, and like that costs a substantial amount of time. You're subjected to human error and opinion, and there's a lot of extra overhead costs. There's a lot of extra time costs, opportunity costs that comes with doing that manually. And so basically what Vacancy AI does is that it's a system we built in the back end that has a ton of computer power behind it. And we process millions and millions of photos in a matter of minutes based on all these listings nationwide. We cover the entire country as well as the entire country of Canada with this service. So when people have access to Vacancy AI, when they're subscribed to it, it automatically filters all this stuff out, and you can toggle it on and off. Like we have it, most people haven't set it automated. Like it works. We haven't set it automated. So like we don't even see the listings that like are empty. It's very, very powerful. It can even detect if homes are virtually staged or like maybe AI generated photos. Like it's not real.
Because
Where
I
the
can see that being a bigger and bigger issue, right? As we
Yeah,
move forward, where you've got these virtual images and these virtual staged homes.
yeah, and we've tested this against like actual human, uh, call it processors who are doing this, and it beats them every time. It's got like I'm not going to say 100, but I confidently say it has a 99.9% accuracy rate.
Well, sure, better than having a VA do that,
Yeah,
right? Or someone where you're subject to way higher rate of human error.
yeah, and it's gonna and it saves so much time and money. It's a if anyone's listening to who's a current customer of ours and does not have access to it, like you're costing yourself a lot of money and time. So like every market's a little bit different. Like for example, in my market, like 25% of the listings are vacant or empty. You
No
know,
kidding. It's
so
that high.
yeah. Well, I mean, it can be 25% seems to be the average. We're actually a little bit higher. We're like about 27. There's markets out there and that can be as high as it's sometimes 35, 40%. I've
Wow.
seen it. It fluctuates. It fluctuates. I've seen it extremely high in like Maricopa County, Arizona, LA County, California, like New York, especially New York City, especially. Like there's some markets where it's really, really high. And you save thousands that was like one of those things we had to make internally, because like our overall objective is like we want to provide our customers with as much value as possible, because in this space, lifetime value and not having a client churn is most important. It's some of the most important metrics you measure is lifetime value and like your churn rate. Churn rates is basically canceling and walking away. So we knew we were going to take a financial hit because we are now at some level going to decrease the direct mail spend of our, because like we make money on direct mail as
On
well.
these direct mail campaigns, and you're arming them with a tool that might impact your revenue.
Oh no, it's 100% was going to.
Right.
But we did it anyway because like it's the long game.
Right.
We want our customers getting the best ROI they can possibly get, and to do that with the least amount of spend they have to make to do it. Everybody wins in that scenario. And for a brief moment, it was a little bit of a financial, but it ended up being the right decision because it like things really, really took off after that. And we're there's some imitation things out there. Like we're the only company that I've seen that has something like this to the level that it does. You got there's a few like copycat competitors out there where they give you access. They make you like change the status, whether it's empty. There's people out there that like that put on a facade that they have what we have, but no one has what we have to the level and accuracy that it does, and it happens it just happens in real time, and it happens so fast. Like we process things so fast and so accurately and so powerful that because we have to do it at massive scale versus like someone who just has their whatever market they have and just are concerned about that. We're concerned about this at a massive scale. Like I said, like we do this for the entire country of the United States and the entire country of Canada.
Look at you. 20 years ago, you were doing your books by hand. You're doing everything manually, and now you're optimizing these listings and these campaigns using AI to detect vacancy. That's
Well, it wasn't
that's
20
quite
years
the
ago.
art.
It wasn't 20 years ago. I got into moving 20 years ago as like a $9 an hour employee.
Oh, gotcha.
No, it was in business. Like Works Move and Storage started at the very end of 2009, like almost December. So I really kind of like I usually identify my first year in business as 2010 because
Nice.
I think I had 3 or 4 weeks of operations in 2009, and so from 2009 or 2010 to end of 2018 was all manual, no technology.
I love that. Thank you for that overview. That sounds really useful. And I just love that mindset of we're going to roll out a feature that is going to impact our bottom line, but we know our customers need it. We know that it'll keep them for the long haul, and it lowers churn, increases the LTV, but more importantly, it just gives your customers just a better service. So I just love that mindset. I have a really good opportunity here with a business person like you that has founded a company, grown a company, and now here you're doing the same thing with USA home listings. So I've got to ask you, if you were to give some advice of something that they need to stop doing, just knock it off. This is sabotaging your business. Eric, what's that advice?
I mean, one of the things that's allowed me to be as successful as I am is I stand on I'm not my worst enemy. I'm not my own worst enemy. I'm not the obstacle, the bottleneck.
Tell
Um,
me more about that.
I don't micromanage. I hire for success. When I hire people, most people for the first 5 million in revenue, they hire everybody who's like beneath them in like overall skill sets, knowledge, talent, all the above, for whatever reason. I've made some of the same mistakes too. They don't really try to hire to complement like their weaknesses or really what the business needs. And I would say that like I don't know many people that don't make that mistake like within the first 5 million of revenue, at some level of capacity. So that one I think is like the most important thing one of the most important things you can. There's so many important things. Like another biggest mistake that people make is that they just is their sales process. And it's that combination of sales and marketing.
Tell me more
Um,
about that.
Well, people will want to like people really don't know their numbers, so like they'll want to dump all this money in marketing, but but are they really getting like maximum utilization of the leads they already get with their sales process? You know, and all those metrics to build. And I'm trying to stay like 10,000 foot view high level because this doesn't need to be a 3 hour podcast. They don't have that. They don't know what they need to look at and measure, and they don't have those metrics and KPIs built in the sales side to really know if it is healthy and doing well and where the improvements can be. Um, and in combination with that, so like they'll try to spend their way out of that and maybe market too much. And with marketing, like some people have a really crappy brand and they don't realize it. I've been down that journey. Like I thought for a long time that I had a good brand until I learned that I didn't. Um, One of the best decisions I ever made was do a rebrand of our company.
How did you find out that your brand sucked? What was it
Uh,
that gave you that aha?
yeah, there was a whole journey with that. But I found experts in that lane and had to basically and kind of like took like a brand valuation test. I'm not here to like really promote any companies, but like there's companies online that that can do that for you. Any true professional brand agency can give you an assessment on that and explain to you why um, your brand's just not good. There's a lot of do's and don'ts with branding that like that industry, at least those who know what they're talking about and doing, agree upon. Um, and then with marketing, so like and how that works is it's really like you've heard the phrase it's really hard to dress up a turd or put lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, and that's a problem with like newer companies. Like, you don't know what you don't know. And that's another thing too. Like when I look back, like, wow, if I just would have had myself professionally branded from day one, like, what could this have been? You know. Um, so, are you also burning marketing dollars because you're trying to put lipstick on a pig? You know, that goes in line with like your reputation. You know. We make it as easy as possible for our sales team at Works or the sales team at USA to sell because we have a amazing reputation online. We have a really good memorable brand. So we set them up for success in that standpoint. Like we have a really good value proposition. I'm not really trying to sell on price. That's a race to the bottom. You
Right.
know, those things are really important. Like so, um, And sales is probably one of the most important things you can get figured out, because the saying goes, sales solves all problems. It's true. You know, um, anything you want to do in business, grow, scale, sales makes that possible. Hire and build teams. Like, it costs money to hire. It costs money to hire people better than you. They're not cheap. You get what you pay for. And that's why breakpoints, and I identify breakpoints because like the breakpoints are points in an organization where like your company's going to go to the next level, and that evolution of what that company's structure looks like and how it's going to function changes a lot during that breakpoint. And the very top of that breakpoint to go to the next level is usually one of the most expensive times of a company, because you're investing in things that are like potentially more expensive, especially on the people side, maybe technology, maybe different systems, CRM, whatever. You're investing these things, so your costs are going to go up, and hoping that the outcome's that you're going for, the growth is going to happen. So it's a very delicate walk when those breakpoints happen.
I love that concept of a break point. Give me an example or two of what you'd consider, that level that you hit when okay, this is a pivotal moment. We're going to go one way or the other, and I may need to, take that leap of faith and invest a lot more in. Give me an example or two of what might be an indicator that I'm at one of those break points.
Every owner needs to sit down and really map out what you do. What are you doing every day? Like, what can you delegate? What can you automate? Or what are you going to keep and own? And you just got to keep removing those hats. And over time, as you grow and revenue increases, you're going to get people underneath you that can take on multiple of those hats. Eventually at growth, those hats are going to turn into its own job. Heck, I can remember having 15 different job titles when I first started out. At some point in time, all the financial stuff you do is going to turn into maybe 2, 3, 4 different positions, but usually they start as one. One of the best things an owner can do is get off the truck. Goal 1, get off the truck. Goal 2, decide, are you taking on operations or are you taking on sales? What are you best at? And then hire for the other. Talking about the breakpoint side, and maybe people just use job titles to use job titles, but no one probably has any business having a GM that oversees the entire operation, even at the day-to-day level, before $5 million. Nobody has any business bringing on a full-time CFO in this industry, and that's usually to be justified somewhere between the $10 to $15 million mark. Fractional is just fine. In fact, you probably really don't even need a fractional beyond bookkeeping and whatnot. Because you should be learning how to read your financials and prepare cash flow statements and run and build a CMS. And CMS stands for Cash Management System.
You've painted a really nice picture of kind of a roadmap of benchmarks. This is what I'm hearing. Tell me how close I am, Eric. It seems like that first benchmark that they can look out for is, when's it time for me to get off the truck? And it sounds like as soon as possible might be the answer to that, is to get off the truck. And I love then that you painted kind of this next benchmark of sales and operations. Okay, I'm at this point where I've got to pick one of those. What am I best suited for? And then hire for the other one, another break point. And then potentially different breakpoints after that are, what are some of these turning a fractional role into a full-time role, and am I at that $5 million or that $10 million level to where I can turn one of those into a full-time role? How close am I on kind of the map of some of those potential breakpoints?
Yeah, no, it's pretty spot on. And to pivot back to the context of the original question, the biggest mistake owners do is that they can't get out of their own way to let things like that happen. Remember, it went back to when I talked about partnerships. You want to hire to complement your weaknesses. It goes back to okay, you got off the truck. And keep in mind, some people start businesses. I have 2 really close friends in this industry. that from day one were never on the trucks. That wasn't my experience. But like the majority of owners are on the trucks, and that should be goal one. Is like, how do I get off the trucks? But I get it. Like I've been there, like on the trucks, moving furniture, handling operations, and taking sales phone calls from your cell phone. Absolute freaking nightmare. I've said in other podcasts, probably one of the most worst experiences in my entire life was the first 18 months in business in moving. I wanted to light my company on fire every freaking day and burn it to the ground. It was absolutely miserable.
Yeah, it reminds me of a quote from Elon Musk, love him or hate him. I love this quote. And he said, someone asked him, what's it like being a business owner? And he said, it's like eating glass every morning, like all the crap jobs that no one else can or wants to do. That's what you got to do.
Yeah. And most owners, it's a control problem. It's an ego problem. And they fail to realize that, like, there's three core values that like I live my life by, and those three core values have also been brought into the core values in every company that I'm a part of, and that's extreme ownership, or just call it personal accountability, integrity, and altruism. Integrity, everyone knows what that is. Altruism is basically selfless concern for others, selfless service. But there's a reason why extreme ownership, or call it like taking accountability, is number one. Because the minute you can do that, anything's possible. Because the owners that I see that fail, or just like want to point fingers or give every excuse or give every excuse in the world of why they can't succeed, except for like point at themselves in the mirrors, is because they can't do this, because they fail to take that. I have zero problem taking accountability and ownership, and when things go right and wrong.
I am so intrigued by that answer. I got to double click on that, Eric, for a second. What does that look like in your life? Tell me about what that actually looks like, extreme ownership.
Yeah, like, okay, this hasn't happened for like a while, but say look at an organizational structure, okay? Mm-hmm. In a large company, how often is like the CEO going to interact with somebody at the lowest level? Not going to happen often. I mean, maybe somebody will do a better job. Like, I'll be real with you. I don't know. I don't know probably 95% of my staff at Works Moving Storage. It's just a reality. But like, right. But the point I'm making is that like, and everyone knows this about me. If I mess up or I make a mistake and I have to make it right, or take accountability of that, and it caused harm to even someone at the lowest level, I will, without question, hesitation, like, apologize to that person, acknowledge the mistake I made, and maybe say like, hey, like this is how it should have went, or like, hey, let me know how I can make this up to you. I do that any moment when it's necessary. I do that. I've done that so much over the years when it's applicable that it's created an osmosis domino effect.
Oh,
like,
interesting.
It also, like, it really lowers walls. It makes you human, because like I've been on both sides, like I've been the entry level position, and like you're at this large company, and like you look at people, at least I did. I forget that these people at the very top are human also, and maybe I might not be myself around them, or I might not be my true self. I'm speaking from my own past experience. I don't think I'm that terminally unique. So I assume that other people maybe think the same things. And that's been like a really great thing to build culture. I demand that from my leadership team. I give you an example. Like, one of the most challenging things is to successfully hire, on board, and train and get people going. And what I never hear from people, or what I usually never hear from business owners who are struggling with that, is that, well, what are you doing wrong in that process? Have you made it simple and easy for this person you're bringing on to capitalize on the opportunity and thing you're offering them? How is your onboarding process? How is your training? Like, are you handling the playbook? Or are you sitting down talking to them and vomiting all this stuff they're supposed to be doing out of your head? So when they have a question, they don't have resources to access to, but now they have to come knock on your door and bother you or call you on the phone. most business owners are stressed out of their freaking mind because they don't have things like this, and they can't take damn ownership and realize that they're the reason. They're the reasons why this stuff doesn't exist. You know, that's kind of like an example of a couple different examples of like why that's so important.
Thanks for being so specific with that. I love that. I heard this once, that if you're in any role of responsibility, if you're not giving a sincere apology at least once a week, that means you're not aware of your blind spots. That just means you're delusional. If you're so so unself-aware that in some aspect of your life over the last week, you've probably stepped on some toes or you've made a mistake. And if you haven't given a sincere apology in the last week, it probably means you've got some blind spots. So I love that real practical ownership manifesting itself as a sincere apology and owning up to your mistakes. I love that.
It's not just because people. You ever heard the term justifiable anger?
Yes.
Yeah. That's where people struggle that the most, because in whatever scenario it is, both people could have played a negative part in that. But see, say for example, you and I had a negative occurrence, all right, and what you did was more egregious than what I did. But see, if I'm going to really truly practice that principle in my life, it's not about what you did. It's about me clean up my side of the street and stay out of the expectation and outcome business of what I think and how I think you should react to me reacting the right way. So I just worry. So also too is like, that's where the rubber meets the road, is in scenarios like that.
So now I want to do the flip side of that. If you've got a young entrepreneur that's a young Eric, and he says, what do I need to start doing? What's one habit that I need to just nail? They're at one of those inflection points. What's one thing that they need to start doing in order to grow?
Well, you need to take a real hard look at it and decide for yourself if the juice is worth the squeeze.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that?
I don't sugarcoat stuff. Like I tell people like, this is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. And what separates the 1% from everybody else is not giving up when it gets really, really hard, because it's going to. Don't believe all this hype and nonsense out there, this glamour you see online from influenced social media. Like, no, it's not. There's nothing about this that's easy. I was asked. I spoke on a panel one time at an event, and the question was, "What do you think?" The context of the question was, in the topic we were talking about, was what was a key thing that led to your success? And my answer was being able to overcome extreme amounts of pain.
Way to sell it. Way to sell it. Like, oh, great, I want to be an entrepreneur. But I love that. That's eyes wide open.
Being able to overcome extreme amounts of pain and push through where others quit.
Interesting. Being able to deal with pain that others wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
Is what separates.
And to tie this back to like fitness, this is why I do grueling, hard things every single day, just about, because I want to be battle tested, and I am battle tested. I have been through some insane hard times in my life and in business, and I've pushed through them.
But every morning you're doing something you don't want to do. You're leaning into the pain. And so, by the time the afternoon comes along, you've already had a few victories that morning.
Yeah. Most people that young person, and all of us should want to do hard, uncomfortable things as much as possible when opportunity presents itself.
Wow.
That's like the 10,000 foot. That's like the 10,000 foot view answer. I would tell. At the same time, like, it's the same thing I tell people that I want to promote to management. Like a question I'll ask, like somebody that I want to promote to a management position: are you sure you want to be responsible for other people's work? People don't look at it like that, because all they're thinking about is that, like, that title or this increase in base or this new KPI structure, like this, whatever, like that. So the key thing is, like, because if someone like 4 levels down is causing a bunch of problems, I'm not going to them. I'm coming to you. and ask you why are they not being held accountable? And that's the hard thing with management. Not everybody's built for that. There's a term called willful blindness, and that's where and that happens with owners, it happens with leadership, it happens with managers. Is that you clearly see what the policy is or the process is. You know that your report is not following that, and you're choosing not to hold them accountable to it. That's willful blindness. Whether that be I don't want to deal with this conflict, or I have this fear, or take your pick of the reason why they don't do that. And that's quite common in business, especially in the moving industry too, is willful blindness. Stephen Reed talks about, Big League Movers talks about it all the time. That's where I actually got that term from. I like the way he articulates it.
I love that. I think I'm going to take these last 3 or 4 minutes and clip them and send them to my son. I've got a 20-year-old son who literally is on the trucks here in Utah at Big Boy Movers. And I want to take that last 4 or 5 minutes and just say, hey, every morning, listen to this. I think that's fantastic advice. I love it. Well, you've given some great business advice, some great life advice. Before I let you go, I want to just put your marketing hat on for just a minute, and I want you to help moving company owners and high-level employees that are making plans for 2026 on a marketing front. What do movers need to pay attention to? What's coming down the line and how can they be ready for that?
If you're in the moving industry, you're in a great industry to capitalize on what's currently out there and what's coming down the line. And what I mean by that is that our industry as a whole is probably 10 to 15 years in the past. Somewhere between 5 to 15 years in the past of where other home service industries are today, as far as utilizing these things, tech, tools, AI, marketing, and in a combination. So anything that can get you in front of homeowners or your ideal customer avatar faster than everybody else, because everyone's going to be doing the traditional. They're going to this SEO stuff here, these PPC, this digital, okay. But how in sales, speed to leads most important. Speed to customer is also very, very important. And first thing foundationally is really everybody should do this. Everybody should get a brand assessment. See where you really stack up, because it takes 7 to 10 touches to get a customer to engage in a call to action and become a lead. And that's a combination of ads and branding. It's a combination of that. So I would just say things like that. And there's so many automations that can be built that are with the technology today. I mean, we've built a ton at Wirks. I know Brian Slater. Builds and the team he works with. I can't remember the name of the company he kind of started or whatever what it's called for this, but they build tons of turnkey automations that utilizes our data at USA Home Listings. So before these people even think about even going on Google to find a mover, they're getting direct mail pieces from us, they're getting emails from us, they're getting text messages from us, they're getting ringless voicemails, phone calls. The real estate market is 45% less than what it was the last good year of COVID.
Wow.
Almost half across nationwide.
Just the size of or the number of realtors.
The number of homes that sold in 2022 versus number of homes that have sold in 2024 and trending 2025. And we still kill it. We're not experiencing any of the problems that I hear other companies experiencing. Now the other companies in our market are definitely having pain because of us, because that market share has to come from somewhere. So that's the point I'm making. Now's a really, really good opportunity to take it, to be one of those companies who aren't going to be living in 5, 10, 15 years in the past. And if you get things like this dialed in, and aren't afraid to invest in it. But you have to have foundational things going on. You have to have healthy financial knowledge and cash flow management, because you have to be able to invest and fund these things. You have to have a good brand to not only get better utilization of your current marketing, but also set your sales team up for success. And you also have to have sales dialed in, so you're not lighting money on fire with your marketing. So like all these things have to be in sync, you know. So like how you really capitalize on this is gonna depend on where you are at as an owner in your journey. You know, it's gonna be very, very challenging to really dive into any of this stuff if you're on the trucks. So you have to start somewhere, and that's gonna look different for every business owner depending on where they're at.
So your advice, if I'm understanding this correctly, and I love this, is to really lean into some of these new marketing tools, because the industry as a whole is 5 to 15 years behind. And if
Yes.
you can dial this in now with a down housing market, then things start going, really well, then you're just going to crush it. Eric, you have been so generous with your time and with your knowledge, and thank you for sharing just a truckload of insights from somebody who's actually been on the truck. They've been behind the screen. They've been behind, the scenes of building a moving business. And now you're building some tools to help movers. Thank you for sharing all those insights with our audience.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, if someone wants to reach out to you, they want to learn more about how they can utilize some of the tools that you have to offer, where's the best place for them to go?
If you want to interact with me, like personally, I would probably think that maybe most people that are going to watch this are going to be like moving company owners.
Right.
Join my Facebook group that I co-founded with Blake Fitzpatrick called Moving Company Owners Unite.
It's a fantastic Facebook group.
Yeah, if you want to, plus it's a great resource if you just really want to like expedite your journey as a business owner, as far as getting like shortcuts and like implementation and things that like work and don't work, because it's filled with about 1,700. We vet very heavily. Like we probably deny 7+ people a day, but we vet very heavily. You got to be a licensed insured legal moving company to join this group. We also have a lot of awesome vendors in this group. We get vendor solicitation all the time, but we only really like let vendors sponsor the group, because it's not simple to manage things at this scale. It's just long story short, it's just an amazing resource and group where everyone knows exactly what you're going through, what you've been through, and there's quite a few people that also are at places where you want to go.
I'm so impressed with the level of engagement when someone comes in there and they're just like, what do I do with this situation? And you've got 12 other movers that jump in and give suggestions on how they dealt with the same thing. Also, go visit usahomelistings.com. Check out their Vacancy AI. It's really, really impressive. Eric, you're the best. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Todd.